everybody? Welcome back to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. And man, I am still humming from that big 3-0 victory over Bayer Leverkusen in the round of 16 Champions League knockout match today. Today is Wednesday, March 5th. And yeah, like I said, Bayern Munich is fresh off of a huge, probably their biggest victory of the entire season over Bayer Leverkusen in the first leg of this Champions League knockout tie. Right now, for this portion of the episode, you just got me here, Danny. I'm doing this video episode style directly after the Bayern match so you can get my real-time, raw, fired-up reaction. And Jim's busy right now, but we will be recording again tomorrow, which is Thursday, March 6th, after the Chelsea match. And I'm going to kind of combine the two videos to make one big midweek European video episode reaction. But yeah, like I said, for now, you just got me, but it is on video. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Always Bayern Chelsea. Jim and I just recorded our 100 subscriber special giveaway, as well as a little trailer intro clip to the channel. So we're going to be posting those soon. And again, subscribe because you can be part of this 100 subscriber special giveaway. So if you forgot or didn't watch the other videos where we talked about it, the giveaway will be my set of FC Bayern football cards 2025, the whole team, even Bernie the Bear's in there, even all the coaching staff is in there. So that's a cool giveaway. Or if you would rather have 5 minutes on air to speak your mind on the Always Bayern Chelsea show, we're open to giving you that too. But before I ramble on about any other stuff, let's just go right ahead and break down this match because, hey, this was a fun one. If you're a Bayern Munich fan, this was a really fun one. I guess I will go ahead and start off by listing Vincent Kompany's lineup. So Kompany started with Neuer in between the sticks, but Neuer did get injured in the match and had to leave. So we'll talk about that as we continue to break down the match. But Neuer started, had an incredible save in there too that I'm sure I'll get to. But Konrad Laimer was the right back, and Alphonso Davies was the left back. Dayot, Upamecano, Kim Min-jae were the center backs. Really good game from the back line. It was a solid game from everybody. There wasn't one player on this team, I don't think, today who had a poor match. That's, with Upamecano and Kim Min-jae both nursing injuries, and there was a lot asked of them today. Vincent Kompany certainly asked a lot of them today. Leverkusen has a great team overall, but a great attack, especially, Florian Wirtz, one of the biggest young stars in all of football. And Upa and Kim, outside of a mistake or two, really held things together, locked things down, and Laimer and Davies deserve their credit too. Laimer and Davies were quietly really good, I thought, if that makes sense. I didn't have any moments from them that necessarily I was sitting there thinking, wow, and my socks were blown off, but they were both just quietly solid. Davies has so much pace that it's almost impossible to play against him, and Konrad Laimer brings a certain level of energy and aggression that it's hard to come by. So great game from the back line, and the midfield arguably was better than the back line, which was really good. Joshua Kimmich, man, what can I say about him that I have not already said? He was nursing that injury. He was racing against the clock to come back for this one, and he did it. He came back and put up a banger performance, arguably the man of the match. I would say it was probably Harry Kane, but Kimmich, if it wasn't Kane, it was for sure Joshua Kimmich. So, man, oh man, what a performance from him. And Leon Goretzka, too, just once again stepping up when his number is called, despite it all. I feel like I'm a broken record talking about this almost every episode, but Goretzka today, like he has all season, stepped up, and the midfield looked like the Kimmich-Goretzka midfield of old a couple years ago when they won the UCL and when they were just humming along and winning everything. It was a great partnership. The attack was also great, I thought. Like I said, Harry Kane might have been the man of the match. I mean, he scored a brace. So, there's that. But Kane, like Kane always does, not just scoring, he was doing everything. He was facilitating play. He was there in build-up. He was there in transition. Hell, he was there in defense. I mean, that's one thing that I think Vincent Kompany really got through this team, and I think is such a positive about Vincent Kompany as a coach. The team really does defend together. You know, when you ask so much of your center backs, when you ask so much of that back line, you have to defend together. And the team really does. I mean, Kane defends, like I said. Musiala defends sometimes. It's just a really beautiful sight. This team is playing together right now as a unit. They're playing like a family. They're playing like they're embodying that Mia San Mia mentality. And it's so, so fun to watch. Bayern Munich steps up in the bright lights of the Champions League, time in and time out. You know, they show their maturity. This group of guys has just got it together. And Leverkusen, I think, is a great squad. I talk about this a lot. I think Xabi Alonso is a great manager. I was disappointed in what he did today, and I want to get to that as well. But I think Leverkusen is a great squad. However, they have not stepped up in the Champions League like this, and maybe next week they will. Maybe I'll be eating my words and some disaster will happen in the second leg, but as of right now, Bayern just looks like the more together and more mature team. And the same thing happened last year, right? Those matches against Arsenal, even Madrid to an extent, but especially Arsenal, really showed me something about this squad. And this is almost the same squad as last year. I mean, there's a few differences, but you know, it showed me that they can step up when it really matters. And against Arsenal, frankly, Bayern Munich looked like men and Arsenal looked like boys. And I was reminded of that in pockets in this one here. So to round out the attack, before I keep gushing on about how much I love this team, you had Michael Olise. He had an assist in there, and Olise was dangerous today. He was a threat up and down the pitch as well, all night long. Really good match from Michael Olise. And Kingsley Coman, who I thought did what he had to do. I thought he was probably the weakest link out of the attack, but I'm not going to complain about him. He did everything he had to do, shoring up the defense as well. That's part of it as well. So, I think I should mention a little bit Leverkusen's lineup. I'm not going to go run down it like I do with Bayern Munich's lineup, but the way that Xabi Alonso lined up was a miss. It just was a miss today, and this is coming from a guy who pretty much never misses. I mean, Leverkusen was invincible last year. They lost the one match, the Europa League final, and this year I think they only have 2 losses. They only have 1 in the league, and I believe they've only lost once in the Champions League. I mean, this would be the 3rd, I suppose. So, Xabi Alonso is not somebody who often misses. I'm sure I'm on record saying I wanted him to coach Bayern Munich after last season, and also Hansi Flick. I'm always still big on Hansi Flick, but Xabi Alonso lined up very, very defensively, like he kind of has against Bayern on a number of matches so far this season. He switched that back 3 out to a back 4, and maybe it was still technically a back 3, but the shape looked more like a back 4 to me. Threw in an extra fullback, extra center backs, and just really kind of played that defensive style. Did not use a striker, which I think was a mistake. When you have Patrick Schick and Victor Boniface, how can you not use them? I mean, they're lethal weapons, and I get he was probably just hoping for that draw or to maybe sneak a counter in there and to go back to the Bayer Arena next week with a draw or, a close match where you can just go all out on the offense next week. But that's just not the right strategy against a team like Bayern that is so mature, especially in the Champions League, especially at home. It's just such a risky plan, and I think you have to trust your squad more. I think you have to try to exploit Bayern's defense a little bit more because he gave Bayern space. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of space, but he gave them the ball in dangerous places, I guess, if that makes sense. He was willing to concede that, to kind of pack it in near the box and maybe try to snuff out the attack that way. But Bayern wasn't going to let that happen. I mean, the very first goal of the match was exactly what I texted Jim moments before it happened. You can look at Twitter for that one. But, I sent Jim a message and I said, look, the way that Leverkusen's playing, the way that their shape is right now, the way that their lineup is, the players that Alonso decided to play, Bayern has the ball out in open space. Play some long balls into the box. Play some crosses into the box to Harry Kane, the best striker in the world. It just, a lot of people have been disrespecting Kane, and this was a legacy match for Harry Kane. He stepped up in a massive, massive way in a huge, huge moment. I mean, these UCL knockout ties, these are the brightest of lights in world international football. And Harry Kane stepped up. And that first goal, the play was started by Kane, finding Olise, and Olise dribbling the ball out wide. Again, Leverkusen was giving Bayern that space. And Olise crossed the ball in so beautifully into the box to a Harry Kane, flying through the sky, Harry Kane, who put in just a beautiful header, jumped over the defense and put a header into the corner, to the side, I guess, of the net, where it was unsavable. And 9 minutes into the match, Bayern Munich is up. And really, the crowd is raucous. I'm raucous, jumping through the roof in my living room, yelling, pumping my fists, running around. I mean, this was a euphoric moment because it just set the stage. It set the tide for how things were going to go. And that's another thing, too. Bayern was going up against Bayer Leverkusen's second-string keeper. Now, he played well against Bayern in the Pokal. I mean, shut him out. Leverkusen won that match 1-0. I'm not exactly sure why he got the start in this one, but, it is what it is, and that decision also comes back to bite Leverkusen and Alonso, but, we're gonna get there because I think, at least I thought when I saw this lineup, Leverkusen's plan was to kind of overload certain areas of the pitch, maybe overload that side with Leimer, kind of use Grimaldo and Wirtz to interchange a little bit and just, have the number advantage on that side of the pitch. But they never really were able to do that. Bayern was just on it from the start. They were really just on the ball from the start. And they never really lost it. There were a lot of chances that Bayern Munich had in this first half even. Musiala hit the crossbar with a header, might have been off of a corner or shortly after a corner that really, really could have went in. I mean, if he would have just put it a little bit more down, that's a second goal right there. Super, super early on. Coman, Goretzka, Kimmich, all these guys had shots from distance, but they were close shots that just, missed by a mere inches. And they were able to shoot because of how Leverkusen was set up. They were just trying to choke out the dribbling into the box. They were trying to choke out the, one-man runs into the box. And Bayern was set up well to counter that and to play crosses into the box and to be creative in other ways. This is just how Leverkusen lined up against Bayern, like I said, a few other times this year, and Vincent Kompany was ready for it. I mean, Vincent Kompany, who's a guy whose tactics I've criticized before, today he got it right. And even more so than tactics, what I've always praised Kompany about and what I think really, really showed today was just that Mia San Mia mentality and the togetherness and, frankly, the vibe he brings to the team. I know it's weird to say in a game that's about numbers and tactics, but Kompany clearly has the locker room around him. He has this team united. We saw it last week against Stuttgart, running onto the pitch to celebrate that third goal. Kane jumping into his arms, Coman jumping into his arms. A lot of tough decisions being made about guys starting, guys being on the bench, and everybody seems to accept their role. And that's a huge credit to Vincent Kompany, and maybe it was sparked by that late Celtic goal by Alphonso Davies to push them through to the next round, to will this team through to the next round in the UCL. Maybe something was sparked then, because ever since then, against Frankfurt, against Stuttgart, today against Leverkusen, this has looked like a team that's just in it together, in it to win it. And yeah, I'm super pumped because it's right after the match, so I'm still kind of riding that high, and maybe I'll calm down, maybe things will change, but for right now, let's just be happy, because this is what the sport is all about. These moments in the season are what the sport is all about. So I'm sure as hell going to enjoy it. All right, what happened next? Now let's start to think about the match again. Even before a lot of these Bayern chances, actually, there was pretty much the one mistake that I can think about in this match. It was after Kane's goal. It was 1-0, but it was maybe, I don't know, the 12th, 13th minute or something. Upamecano plays a bad back pass to Neuer. I mean, a risky back pass if it goes well, and it did not go well. He basically passed it right to Frimpong. Kim didn't react at all, and Frimpong has a point-blank shot at Neuer, who makes an incredible save. That's why Manuel Neuer is the greatest keeper of all time, that and a million other reasons, but I know all the Neuer haters online are just screaming into a pillow right now, because that was a spectacular save, and it damn near saved the match. I mean, wow. So yeah, Bayern go into halftime up 1-0. I'm feeling good because of how they've played. I was feeling great with how they played, and I texted Jim, I tweeted, that was one of Bayern's best halves of football this entire season, if not their best half. So really kudos to them, because that was a great half of football, and it continued into the second half. Bayern was gifted a goal basically in the 54th minute. Leverkusen's keeper, again, like I said, not their main starting keeper, goes up to catch a ball, misjudges it, kind of goes a little bit too far forward, or maybe jumps a little off-timed. And if you're watching the video here, you can probably see what I'm doing, but he lifts up his hands, the ball's kind of behind his head, and he just drops it. He just drops it essentially right into the goal. I mean, Musiala was there to tap it in. Credit to Musiala for his awareness and just positioning there. He was in the right place at the right time. Taps it in, and it's 2-0 Bayern, and at this point, it really feels like there's no looking back. I mean, it really feels like that with how Bayern Munich is playing. And Musiala, I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but he had a very solid match all around. I mean, just what Musiala, Kane, and Olise were doing on the attack was dirty. I mean, they were just linking up. They were fluid. They were all running well. Musiala, who's been sick, Kane, who's nursing a calf injury, these guys looked like new men. They looked different than they've looked the last couple of weeks, and man, oh man, was it the perfect time for them to show up. And then directly after that, we're talking 55th minute, maybe in celebration, that's what's being reported, that it was while he was running around during the celebration. I thought during the match maybe there's a chance he got hurt earlier and was trying to tough through it, but Manuel Neuer leaves the match. Big blow. Big blow. Worst part of this, otherwise pretty much spotless day, was Neuer's injury. Don't know what it is at the time of this recording. Maybe tomorrow when we talk about Chelsea, I'll pop in and give a little bit of an update on that. But as of right now, we don't know what it is. Neuer gets subbed off, and I thought it was funny. Sven Ulreich, who was in the matchday squad, was just sitting in the stands, so he wasn't going to come in. And lo and behold, who is it? But the kid, Jonas Erbeg, called up, I don't know, 2 months ago maybe? Less than 2 months ago probably, from Köln, a Bundesliga 2 side right now, and gets his Bayern Munich debut in the Champions League round of 16 knockout match. I mean, what a big stage for him to debut. And let's be honest, he wasn't tested at all in this match. But I will say, one thing that I noticed and I really liked was he was calm, he was collected, and that's not something I can always say I've seen out of Daniel Peretz when he's played. No shade to Peretz, he was tested a lot more, but it was good to see Erbig get this debut, keep a clean sheet, and just, again, look good doing it. So there was that. 62nd minute, things go from bad to worse for Bayer Leverkusen because Musiala got his second yellow card of the match, was sent off, and Leverkusen's down to 10 men. And this was just a boneheaded move. I don't know if he was tired or what, but he studs up, slides into Kingsley Coman's Achilles. Coman goes down right near the microphones. You can hear it loud and clear, him screaming in pain, because, man, that did not look good. And yeah, I mean, you're sent off for that. Again, boneheaded move. I don't know about this lineup that Alonso put out there, but, at that point, it was really clear that Bayern was not looking back. Up 2-0 and going against 10 men. And, then in the 68th minute, we saw Vincent Kompany go to his bench. I liked these subs. He brought in Leroy Sané for Kingsley Coman and Josip Stanisic for Konrad Laimer. Really nice. Coman was doing a lot, and Laimer always does a lot. So it's good to bring these guys in. Stanisic is so solid. I love seeing his number called. Really, whenever he plays, I really like Stanisic back there at the right back, so he did great today. And Leroy Sané, I thought, did very well as well. He had one run where he took on the entire team, beat them all, and then fired a shot that narrowly missed. Looking like the old Sané. He looked like the confident Leroy Sané that I've been begging to see. So, yeah, nice subs right there from Kompany. I was in favor of those at the time, and they both worked out. 75th minute, we did see Harry Kane go down in the box, really got tackled on a corner, and a penalty was awarded. Maybe a little bit weak, but also you can't do that. You can't tackle somebody in the box on a corner when the ball's going right to where Kane was. So I feel like you have to call the penalty, even if it was a little bit of a weak tackle. Just showing how Leverkusen's heads were not in the match. And Kane steps up to the spot, and of course he buries it. Michael Olise is standing there, not even looking, because he is so confident that Harry Kane's going to bang this penalty in, and that's exactly what he did. Kane completes his brace on the day, and a well-deserved brace. Kane was so important to every facet of this team today. This was, I think I already said it in this episode, but this was just a legacy match from Harry Kane with how he played. I was shocked, head and shoulders above every other player on the pitch, except maybe Kimmich. But still, I think Kane was the best player on the day. Really sensational stuff out of him. And then 89th minute, more smart subs. Dyer comes in for Kim, I believe, and Palhinha comes in for Goretzka. You think that would be the last action of the match, but in the closing moments of the match, we saw this run by Jamal Musiala that just was pure magic. It sums up everything Jamal Musiala is, so I'm sure you've seen it. It's been on social media, but go ahead, take a look at this last-minute run by Musiala if you have not seen it. But it ends up with a back heel flick perfectly to himself over the defense. This is the stuff that you dream about. This is the stuff that you see in movies, and Musiala unselfishly passes it right to João Palhinha for an open shot, and he hits the crossbar. Feel bad for Palhinha because he's been dealing with so much this year, injury-wise, illness-wise, but this was a highlight reel goal if there ever was one, and he just couldn't put it in the back of the net. So hopefully that does not come back to haunt us ever, and we can all forget about that moment. But wow, what a match overall. I'll go through some match awards real quick here. Man of the match, you probably know. I'm giving it to Kane. Robin of the match, Joshua Kimmich. Underrated fireball of the match, Michael Olise. I'm loving him more and more each week. He's just a special player. Right foot, left foot, dribble, pass, cross, shoot, whatever you want from him. He's there to deliver. And defender, I'm going to give to Upamecano. I thought he was the most solid on the day, although he did make that massive mistake I mentioned earlier. Luckily, it didn't matter. Didn't turn into a goal, so hey, there you go. Upamecano's the defender. But everybody did good. Really, everybody did solid. So, plug and play with these guys and give whoever you want the award. But now Bayern Munich heads on over to Bochum. You know what? It might be a home match, actually. Can't remember, but I think it is home. They play Bochum this weekend in the Bundesliga. You'd think that would be a nice and easy win. But I will say, to Bochum's credit, they have been playing better lately. So maybe it won't be the steamrolling that we saw in the first half of the year, but hoping it's kind of an opportunity for some of these guys who are banged up to get some rest, and still a nice win for Bayern because we got to keep it going in the Bundesliga. Then we head next week, Tuesday, to Leverkusen to finish this thing off, second leg, and we better finish it off. We better bring the intensity like we did today because, wow, what a match, and I'm just fired up now. Bayern's ceiling feels really high at the moment, and it felt really low not too long ago. So, like I said, guys, I'm just going to enjoy this one. And stay tuned, subscribe to this YouTube channel because we're banging out content left and right. And Chelsea has a big match tomorrow, so Jim and I are excited for that one. Thanks for hanging with us here. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Just the vibes are high, the energy is high. It's Mia San Mia, and it's forever.
Chelsea beat Copenhagen in the first leg of the Conference League round of 16 away at Copenhagen in Denmark. It was a beautiful stadium. The fans had the energy, but Chelsea did not have much energy on this day, although neither did Copenhagen. This first half was maybe one of the more boring halves of football I've ever watched in my time as a Chelsea fan. And neither team really was looking like they had a foothold in this game. Yes, Chelsea were dominating the possession, but they were not able to break down the strong defense of Copenhagen at all. And it's a lack of creativity. It's a lack of guys that have the desire to really push the ball forward. It was an interesting lineup, I thought, by Enzo Maresca. He's trying to do a combination of young guys that haven't gotten some time, as well as still playing a lot of his main guys, the Cole Palmers of the world, Reece Jameses of the world. So I thought that was interesting off the get-go. He plays Gusto basically as a left wing who was useless on the day until he got hurt. Plays KDH in the left space midfield area, also useless for the entire game, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm confused with this Chelsea team at times because they seem like they have all this talent, and then they just don't know how to play and get it done in these games. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward with Chelsea. But, yeah, that first half, just not much to talk about at all. I think they maybe had one shot, maybe two. But in the second half, Enzo does make a few subs, immediately brings on Nkunku for Shim Weka, and I am thrilled that he did get a start, although he didn't do much. Shim, proud of him for getting his first Chelsea start. But Nkunku comes on for him. Enzo comes on for Caicedo, who rightfully so should be rested in order to be prepared for Leicester on Sunday. Cucurella, who had come on for Gusto in the first half, as Gusto went off injured. And then Colwill came on for Badiashile. So interesting subs there. They did end up making a huge difference for Chelsea. Cucurella, immediately when he comes on for Gusto, is a ball of energy and is a much better player than Gusto, especially in the spaces that he's operating in. Melo Gusto right now, unfortunately, just doesn't provide much for this Chelsea team. So that's a little bit of a shame, but is what it is right now. Colwill, Badiashile, they're the same player. Colwill isn't making those strides I thought he would, but Enzo and Nkunku both were strong subs to make at halftime. Enzo, with his ability and creativity to find space, find passes, is always going to be the type of player that you want against a team playing a defensive structure and a low block. So I think, that was a strong move there. And Nkunku impressed me as well with his defensive capabilities and energy that he brought. So then early in the second half, we see a goal because Cucurella is creating space down the left-hand side, cuts it back, trying to find George, but ends up to El Capitan, Reece James anyway, and he fires one low into the left corner. Just a brilliant strike by Reece. This is a guy that anytime he scores, the fans are going to absolutely love it, and it's awesome to see. So super happy for him to get that goal. Probably Chelsea's best player on the day, operating in a midfield type of role. And that's something that Chelsea kind of lacked when Lavia is hurt, and they're only playing one of Caicedo or Enzo. So good to see Reece really perform well. Then they add a second, not too soon after that. I think about 20 minutes later, where Nkunku and Mark are really pressing hard up the pitch. They get the ball taken away, and Nkunku slots it into George, who passes it to Enzo Fernandez, and he has a really nice finish on his goal. I was impressed with that finish by Enzo Fernandez. So Chelsea are up 2-0, and you're kind of resting easy at that point. Palmer eventually goes off. We're thinking, okay, up 2-0, going back to the bridge next week for the second leg. We're feeling good about this. And even though they didn't put up the greatest performance, you do get a couple of goals off of chances that weren't massive, which hasn't been the case much this year. They've been missing more chances than anything in terms of expected goals. So I was happy to see that. The problem is Chelsea cannot get a clean sheet at any time, it seems. So they give up a brutal goal later in the match to this Copenhagen team off a set piece. Colwell falls asleep, KDH falls asleep, the entire defensive line falls asleep. Basically an open header for Gabriel of Copenhagen. Sanchez, could he have done better? Maybe. I didn't think it was the greatest effort by him to try to save that header, but this Chelsea team falls asleep at the wheel once they get these leads. It's crazy right now. Whether it's because they're young, inexperienced, or they don't have the fight and desire to win, I'm not sure. Is the Conference League not good enough for them? I don't know. But there needs to be some leadership and motivation and fire shown with some of these guys. I think at times you're seeing that Reece James is pretty fired up with his team. And rightfully so. He's the captain. I just don't know if the other players realize that they've been dicey for a while now. They need to get it together. Cole Palmer really thought he would eat against a team like this. I understand they're really putting the pressure on defensively, but Palmer is not the same he was at the start of this year. I'm thinking he might have some sort of injury or something that he's playing through because he doesn't look the same. Every time he shoots, it's not quite the same. He gets the ball taken from him way more often than he should. I don't know. It's an interesting spot that Chelsea are in right now. I'm glad they got the win. Copenhagen aren't a slouch of the team. Oftentimes, they do make the Champions League out of their Denmark league they're in, but this team, Chelsea, are just not showing me the team that I know they can be. So I'm interested to see what they do on Sunday. I'm guessing you'll see Nkunku back, Neto. It's going to be big. Palmer, I assume, play. Enzo and Caicedo as well. I think you're going to see a strong team, but I just need to see them be more consistent, be more clinical in their finishing ability. And I think Enzo Maresca needs to show me that he can still adapt and maintain a style that can be flexible and can beat teams that are more defensive or teams that just aren't up to our standard. He's going to be facing his old club now, and I'm going to need to see a huge performance out of him and the team. So, am I happy with the win? Yes, of course. Am I confident Chelsea will go through next week in the Conference League? Yes, I certainly am. I still am not confident in Chelsea finishing top 5 and winning the Conference League right now. I'm very hopeful. I think there's signs of things that can be good. I just need to see more. I need to see them start cooking, connecting, and being a team that flows a lot better. So that's going to be my goal for seeing things for Chelsea here, and hope they can do well. I will add as well at the end of this, I was very happy to see Bayern get a 3-0 victory in the Champions League against Bayer Leverkusen. Didn't really catch much of the match, but I know Danny will have that one covered. And overall, just super excited that they knocked the snot out of Leverkusen. This is a Bayern team that hadn't won the last 6 times against them. It's great to see Vincent Kompany finally get probably his biggest win under his belt, and I think there's really bright things to come here for Bayern. They're rolling in the Bundesliga, basically have it locked up. So they can rest guys in favor of the Champions League, which I think will be absolutely massive for this team. and excited to see where they can go the rest of the year. So Mia San Mia and up to Chelsea. Let's keep it going with both our squads.